After an epic 8 months of racing, this is it, the Sasol GTC Championship finale. With South Africa's best drivers going head-to-head and 2 titles on the line, history is set to be made. From racing right around the country, it's been a mammoth contest of drivers pushing the limits and fighting for bragging rights in what has been our biggest season yet. 2 races left in 2018 and 1 title fight remains as we decide the 2018 champions at Zwartkops Raceway. It's South Africa's premier motorsport category, the Sasol GTC Championship, only on Supersport. We are 16 races down and just 2 remain after a record-smashing year in the championship. Hi everyone, welcome to Zwartkops Raceway here in Gauteng for the massive title decider. I'm Richard Kral. There's the teenager Keagan Masters looking for back-to-back titles in GTC2, and there's Gennaro Bonafide, who'll need some BMW magic on his side as he takes on the might of the powerful N-Gen Audi team, and that's the beautiful trophy they're all playing for. Well, as ever, qualifying was hotly contested. Fresh from his maiden GTC2 pole at Killarney last time out, Charles Smallberger continued his strong form by qualifying 3rd. Devon Robinson equalled his season best by jumping to 2nd place by just 2/100ths of a second. But it was championship leader Keagan Masters who scored his 8th pole from 9 attempts this year, only enhancing his title credentials. In a field covered by less than 1 second, Gennaro Bonafide missed pole by just 2/10ths, but had to settle for 3rd in the Sasol BMW as he targets Simon Moss in their heated battle for 2nd and 3rd in the championship. Moss qualified 2nd for the 5th time this year, missing pole by 100th. The man on top, well, that'd be Michael Stephen, of course. The double champion is talking to Philippa.
Well, Michael Stephen, that's pole number 6 for 2018, exactly twice as many that you got last year as well. Congratulations, and it's going to be one fight between you and Simon on the front row of the grid when we start race 1.
Yeah, fantastic result, not only for myself but for the team. Another front row lockout. Qualifying's been a speciality this year. I think we've worked a little bit harder on it, focused a bit more on it in practice, and I think it's played dividends, and 6 poles, very happy with that.
Now, there's only a handful of championship points between yourself and Simon vying for this title. How are you going to play this out?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, I think we're going into the weekend treating it as another weekend. Go out there, race 1, and try win the race and the championship at the same time. Obviously, those 50-50s become 60-40s in terms of erring on the side of caution. And I think I only need a 5th place in race 1, but we don't race like that. We race to win, and hopefully we can pull off a win and wrap up the championship.
Exactly. Well, at least you've got another check thanks to Dunlop. That's another 5,000 Rand for you guys to celebrate with.
Yeah, fantastic. I think we hopefully have a big party tonight.
While the drivers share the limelight and win all the awards, the people behind the scenes are the unsung heroes of the Sasol GTC Championship. Philippa spent some time in the paddock catching up with the hard-working crews that keep these cars on the track.
While Sasol GTC has only been around for 3 seasons, the true depth of experience in pit lane spans many decades, with most of the crew in the paddock supporting our championship contenders for most of their careers and have been key to their success in GTC.
Well, I started with Terry Moss Racing in the beginning of 2006, and I've been here up until now.
Yeah, I met Gennaro and he was racing a production cars Class T with the Golf 5 GTIs. It was way back then.
6 years ago, I started to work for EPS Couriers, Uncle Philip Sarfontein. Johan was that time in production cars, and yeah, it's 3 years at GTC now.
And returning that dedication has been a common attribute of the drivers all year. Not just willing to give ample technical feedback, but being hands-on and helping their technicians every chance they can.
Absolutely. Sweeping keeps you humble. That's what I tell them. They get involved, they clean their cars, they always have questions, there's always lots of info going around, so they're pretty involved.
The feedback from Gennaro and Robbie is actually very good, and also the personalities of the 2 drivers, they push to the limits, and it's just great to work with these guys. They're always happy.
Mike's very direct, and he gives very good feedback, so he's not a driver that will beat around the bush. He'll be straight to the point, tell us, I want that change or that's wrong, and normally that is the case. If he says something's not right, it's not right.
It is a complete package that he's got, from an engineering point of view, from a setup point of view. He can make a change. It might not work, but he can drive around it. There's very limited drivers that can do that.
With the Sasol GTC Tour on the road for 9 rounds a year, there's no room for ego. With both crew and drivers operating on a level playing field, no matter win or lose.
Well, it's all about the team. We function as a unit. If one car is not complete, then everyone stays late until it's done. We all put in a team effort and we all have the same goal in mind, and that is to produce a competitive car that's obviously reliable at the same time.
Johan is a very proud guy. He's not here to lose, he's here to win. We all are very, very close. It's like a small family. We stay connected. We see each other afterwards, and yes, it's a very, very close team.
It's important to have a good relationship, especially with the drivers. They got to feel comfortable. They got to know that you're doing your best as well.
The nice thing is, even after a bad weekend, Mike will still be the one that sends you SMS and say, listen, yeah, guys, thanks for the weekend. It didn't go as planned, but yeah, we'll do better in the next one. And yeah, that's nice to know that he appreciates it, even if it's a bad weekend. In my eyes, I think he's the best at the moment in what he does, and yeah, I think that's the truth, and you can see it in the results.
It's a common cliche, there's no I in team. Without them backing me, without the team backing me, without the sponsors backing me, without Terry backing me, you know, I wouldn't have all the championships that I've been very fortunate to wrap up. And yeah, so I'm very grateful to all of them, and hopefully I can reward them again this weekend.
The countdown is on to race 1. As always, there's lots of colour and excitement on the grid, even if those skies look a little ominous. It's a massive day for the championship. Let's get down to Philippa, who's amongst the action.
Well, it is a massive day, Richie, not just for Sasol GTC, where Mike Stephen is chasing a triple crown of titles this weekend. But Mike, you actually did that back in production cars many years ago, and we can't find anybody else that's been able to achieve the same thing in recent history.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Yeah, obviously we did it in production cars a couple of years ago. And, you know, we're going for it again. It's never over till it's over. But, you know, we're going to the race. We're on pole position, and hopefully we can pull it off.
And it's also quite special for you as well that the same mechanics and crew that you've had back then are also with you this weekend.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And, yeah, of course, he's standing here. He's my right-hand man at the racetrack. And, you know, without the team effort, you know, of course he's there. But there's a whole lot of more guys behind the scenes in that as well. So hopefully we can wrap it up, and hopefully we can also finish 1-2 in the championship.
Exactly, putting the driving aside, you're chasing 1-2 for Engine Audi and also the manufacturer title as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure at stake. You know what, we've been around, so we go out there, as I said, we 1-2 on the grid. We're just going to go and do a normal race and hopefully, you know, bring back a 1-2 in race 1.
All right, go get him, well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Bit of pressure on that guy, you think, as he goes for title number 3. Here's Zwartkops Raceway, our 3rd visit for the season. It's just 8 turns and 2.4 Ks. But gee, it packs a lot of excitement. Lap times just over 62 seconds, and the grid has the Engine Audis 1 and 2, the Sasol BMWs 3 and 4. Matt Hodges next in the Volkswagen, ahead of Johan Ferrari and Daniel Rowe next. Cool to see this guy out. It's Gary Formato demonstrating the original GTC Focus prototype that kicked off the whole thing all those years ago. GTC2 will Keagan Masters on pole once again. The Minis in close company. Charles Smallberger in his continuing good form, and you can never count out Trevor Bland. Mr. Excitement is always in the mix. So the penultimate race of what's been a thrilling and compelling season brings us back to Zwartkops Raceway. It's a circuit where Mike Stephen has won twice already this season. Daniel Rowe famously won earlier on in the year as well for Volkswagen. That was a big race. But once again, it's an Engine Audi lockout on the front row. Dark skies, but a bright future for the championship, and the showdown is underway. 12 laps is the distance. The champion leads the field through the high-speed turn 1 and covers his line up the hill in the braking zone into turn 2. Bonafiti's 3rd. Robert Walt goes up the inside of Johan Ferrari and wrestles 4th place away. Johan just offline a little bit and now will be under pressure from the 2 Volkswagens behind. But a clean start. Sasol GTC field through. Mini v Volkswagen wheel to wheel in GTC 2. That's pretty much par for the course. Up the hill they go now, up to turn 5. Best overtaking opportunity on the circuit. That's what Simon Moss is thinking about. Couldn't get up the inside of his teammate there. He'll be playing a cautious game. He knows that he's got a championship to think about, but it's probably more realistic thinking about keeping Gennaro Bonafiti behind. This is Charles Smallberger, the opening moments of the race. Brad Liebenberg to his left. Keagan Masters square in front, and that was one position gain. And this was him trying to attack Devon Robertson, who jumped into the lead. Up the hill through turn 4, and a friendly little wave there. Geez, in good form, Keagan Masters, as he's been since he debuted in the championship, well, almost 2 years ago now. So quick laps here at Zwartkops. Audi flags flying on pit straight. It's a 1-2 for the Engen cars. There's Bonafide. The weight of South Africa, it must feel like, resting on his shoulders. Runner-up in the championship last year, but now under searing pressure to try and at least split the two Audis once again. But the big step forward that Simon Moss has taken this year is making that a very, very difficult task. So once again, this great cold tyre pace we see, they switch the Dunlop tyres on so well, the Audis. It's part of the improvements they've found in qualifying this year. You heard Michael Stevens saying how they've got their cars working over one lap. Well, they're doing it on cold tyres as well. They build that track position early, and then they can start to stretch their margin. But Gennaro is staying with them at the moment. Kicking up the dust a little bit through this sequence of left-handers that brings them back around to the start-finish line. It's a terrific little circuit. As I said, 3 visits now this season. We're here more often than not last year as well, and it's turned into something of a home away from home for the GTC family. Always produces great racing, crams a lot into a short layout. Great for spectators watching from the sidelines as well, and watching through the front window of the EPS Couriers car of Johan Free. Bit of onboard theatre. The big man from Cape Town. Nice and smooth and controlled in the early laps of this race as he chases the works cars up in front. Right, Bradley Liebenberg under pressure from Trevor Bland. This is a fight for 4th and 5th position in GTC 2, and this is Keagan Masters for the race lead, looking down the inside of Devon Robinson. The reigning Polo Cup champion has got the Gulf going up the inside now. They'll continue to go wheel by wheel. This is good, hard, clean racing, and good racing respect given. Keagan gets good drive out of the second to last corner, and he will be in the perfect position to go down the inside at the final turn and take the race lead away from the Mini. The champion car drops back a spot, and the champion-elect, you have to say, moves into P1. Great bit of racing there. Really enjoyed how they gave each other the racing room. Masters with a brake lock up into turn 2, just run a little bit wide, and that's allowed Charles Smallberger just to draw himself back into the mix. Wasn't it great to see Charles grab a pole position last time out at Killarney? This on board with the privateer runner, Lee Thompson Racing. Got this car switched on in the second half of the year. Looks up the inside. The number 20 Mini couldn't get through. And now Robinson defends. Painted line in the middle of the road sort of delineates where you drive to cover your racing line up there. Into 5 and 6. Does it well though. Good bit of racing. But while they're dicing, all that's doing is allowing Keagan Masters to pull away the lead of this GTC 2 race. He has been extraordinary this season. There aren't enough superlatives to talk up how good this guy's been. He's won 3 of the 4 races at this venue so far this season. Both poles at Zwartkops. He's got 8 of the 9 poles for the season so far. The only other guy to win a race at Zwartkops Raceway this year was Bradley Liebenberg. He won the first race in round 3, which seems like a long time ago. A lot of water under the bridge since then. Back to the front in Sasol GTC. That was Simon Moss just running a little bit wide. He's starting to fall back into the clutches of Gennaro Bonafide now as Stephen just builds his margin as we get to half race distance. Robbie Walk just in behind his teammate now, holding down 4th place. It's been a pretty tough season for the second of the Sasol BMW drivers. Qualified second at the opening round, hasn't been on the front row since. Second place in round 4 of the championship in race 2, the reverse grid race there, stands out as his best result. A couple of DNFs in recent times have really hurt Robbie's recent form. He's had great speed, these BMWs have just been that 0.5% off the two Audis, especially in the second half of the season. And that's what's allowed Michael Stephen and Simon Moss to grab that ascendancy that they've got the front of the field. That's the margin first to second. Just watch and listen to these cars mid-race. So on the Dunlop control tyre that the series uses, and it's great to have the continued support of one of the most renowned tyre brands around. They jumped on board to sponsor the Pole Award this year. Michael Stephen took most of those winnings, it must be said, but that'll fund the Engine Audi after party, you'd think, at the end of the season. They're a good tyre, very durable, but by now, as we work into the second half of the race, they'll have been well used as they push very, very hard at the front of the field. GTC 2 battle, there's Bradley Liebenberg. Trying to close that margin to Charles Smallberger. Now he's just escaped away in that little margin from Trevor Bland. Adrian Wood in the Kia Sera cars in behind them. Had to change an engine overnight after dramas in practice and qualifying. Down the hill, love the elevation change at this venue. Adds a whole lot of character. This circuit here in Gauteng, close to a huge population base. The crowds at this venue have been amazing this year. They've really enjoyed the racing that the Sasol GTC Championship has put on. Mike Stephen works his way past Bob Neal in the Ford. So too does Simon Moss. We're on board with Bonafide, and he cannot hesitate now. Every single moment, he's got to continue to push. He needs to find a way to close that gap to that guy who's had such an exceptional season. We thought at the end of the 2017 championship that Simon Moss would establish himself as a regular contender this year. He won both races at the finale last year, 12 months ago. And it's been the case. He's been so very good in car number 38. 2 pole positions, a couple of race wins early in the championship. He's been very consistent since then. In fact, in the last 8 races, he's only finished off the podium on one occasion, and that was a P5 in a reverse grid race. So not a bagged strike rate for Simon Moss. The difference between he and Michael Stephen is that Stephen does the conversion better. He gets the race wins, gets those extra points. Wow, Johan Fourie sliding the EPS number 14 car around. He's starting to get under pressure now from the Volkswagen Jetta just in behind. That's car number 57, Matt Hodges, who a couple of rounds ago got onto the podium, and that meant that every driver this year has stood on the podium at some point throughout the course of the Sasol GTC Championship. We've got to send a shout out to our great mate Michael Van Rooyen, the Rustenburg Rocket, watching from home this weekend. Unfortunately fractured his shoulder quite badly in an accident training for this weekend. It's a massive shame because he's had his best ever Sasol GTC season as well. We miss having him in the paddock. We know he'll be watching on and enjoying the racing, wishing that he was in and amongst it. He's had some terrific scraps this season. A couple of podium finishes went the way of the Rustenburg Steel Constructions BMW. He'll be back bigger and better next year, we're sure. On board with Johan Fourie. Oh, that doesn't sound healthy. That does not sound healthy at all. And once again, this car goes to pit lane. Well, it's been such a challenging season for one of the great champions of South African motorsport. Sounded like a throttle issue, and there's smoke pouring from the left front corner of his BMW. Well, that's the universal sign for things aren't going very well, I think. So Johan drops out of the mix, out of a top 5 position, and moves himself to pit lane. His championship was on the back foot from the opening 3 rounds, where he had 3 DNFs from the first 6 races. Of course, there was that big crash at Kyalami at the start of the season, so famously covered throughout the season. Since then, he's been very consistent, and that's a blow. They've probably done the big Control-Alt-Delete and rebooted this car, send him back out. Let's have a listen. Oh, it sounds better. It was under load. I'm no mechanic, but it seems like they might have cured whatever ill that car had. And he will go out and just try and score some points and gets out just in front of the race leader, who's now 2 laps away from home. And if he finishes where he is, if these two stay where they are, the championship will go the way of Michael Stephen. It's been a remarkable season. And at the start of the year, you wouldn't have predicted that he would have been able to defend his crown once again, because it was such a checkered start to the season. With that relentless consistency throughout the middle part of the season. And he slammed home race victories in the last 2 rounds. Has elevated car number 1 back to number 1. And now he's a lap and a half away from making it a 3-peat. Gennaro can only watch. Simon Moss is in front. And this great rivalry that's been established over the last 2.5 seasons, if not more, of Sasol GTC between the two Engen Audis and Gennaro Bonafide. Initially it was Stephen v Bonafide, then Simon Moss rode into the equation as he developed as a driver and got faster and faster. Whoa, big moment, huge moment, mid-corner, turn 1. It's a fast 4th gear corner, and the back end of car number 32 just stepped out on Gennaro Bonafide. He caught it, but it's removed any opportunity for him to attack Simon Moss, you feel, now on the final lap of the race. And as has been the case this year, these race distances mean that the Sasol GTC cars get to the back of the GTC 2-pack on the last or second last lap of the race. It just adds a little bit more tension to these guys as they try and work their way home. So Michael Stephen goes through the Mini of Brad Liebenberg. Well, there's no better way you'd feel to wrap up a championship than doing it with a lights to flag victory. He was on pole position. He's led every lap of the race. And now, at this moment, Michael Stephen becomes a 3-time Sasol GTC champion. It's all done. He's gone back to back to back. And justifiably so, the crew at the Engen Audi team, Terry Moss Racing, will celebrate. There's still a race to go. They've still got to lock in second place in the championship for Simon Moss, but they've already got something to celebrate. And Keagan Masters, I said earlier, there aren't enough superlatives to talk about what this young guy has achieved this year. Winning the championship once is one thing. Defending the crown is another. And in the way that he's done it, as Johan Ferré just pluckily ducks up the inside there on the final lap, the way that he's done it is by dominating the championship. Pole positions aplenty for Keagan Masters. Lots of race wins. A dominant season. And Volkswagen Motorsport will go back to back as well. Keagan Masters seals the GTC 2 title. Well done, the teenager has done it again. Just let that soak in. He's got such a bright future. One of the great young talents in South African motorsport. And this guy might not be considered a young talent anymore, but he is one of the greats. A 3-time champion, the Triple Crown. He achieved it back in the production car days. He's done it again in Sasol GTC. Confirmation of the race results. Bonafide fought all the way. Could only manage 3rd in the end in front of Robbie Walk. Hodges and Rowe line astern. Hodges beating his teammate, which is a great result. Keagan Masters wins GTC 2. The Mini in second place with Devon Robinson. And Charles Smallberger on the podium. Great result for the privateer runner. Well, it's party time. There's a race to go, but the celebrations will start early for the triple champion, Michael Stephen. Greets the Terry Moss Engen Audi team as a 3-time champion. And his young apprentice, who's currently second in the standings, watches on. And Keagan Masters, they've already got the T-shirts out at Volkswagen Motorsport. What a great result. What a great season it's been. The best thing is there's still a race to go, but let's go and hear from our 3-time champion.
Well, we can't celebrate just yet, Michael Stephen, but what a perfect race to seal that title.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And couldn't ask for more. Qualified on pole, got into the front and led from start to finish. So Zwartkops was always a little bit tricky when you're behind. So I thought if I can get a gap in the beginning, I can get away. And just a fantastic job by the team. A big thanks to all the sponsors, Engen, Petronas, Audi. This wouldn't be possible without them, and Simon as well. been a fantastic teammate, for the past couple of years, and he's still got to wrap up second in the championship. So second heat, still a lot to play for.
And you're both starting from the back of the grid as well.
Yeah, that makes it exciting. But I think it's quite fitting end. Gennaro, Simon, and myself, we're all starting at the back.
I can help it. Simon's going to get second. If I can help it.
So and the rivalry is good. So it's always nice when it goes nail biting down to the end. And let's hopefully the team can bring back a 1-2 in the championship.
Gennaro Bonafide, that title is out of your hands, but there's nothing stopping you from fighting for second place outright. Well done, though, on a podium finish.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been half of the season, to be honest. It feels like I'm fighting against the wind. In terms of the team we're racing against, we've been doing really, really well. But yeah, we're still fighting for second. Obviously, coming second in 2016 and 2017, we would have loved to step one up, but yeah, let's have a go. The last race is coming. The thunder shower's looking ominous, but we'll see.
Even though Simon and Michael have been such strong competitors, you seem to all have had a lot of fun this year as well.
Yeah, the camaraderie between the three of us is just incredible. We race hard, extremely hard. We have a joke after the race, before the race, and it's really nice. I just wish I could get one over them. It's been frustrating the last 3 years, but we keep pushing this as motorsport, and we won't give up.
All right, let's hope for 2019 for you. We'll see you in the podium.
Indeed, thanks, Foles.
Well, both of our titles have been wrapped up in race one. Well done, Keagan Masters, on GTC 2 title 2 years in a row. You must be super chuffed about that.
Yeah, I'm super chuffed. That whole race I was shaking, and I was a bit nervous on the start. I took it easy. Devin dive bombed me big time, and I just wanted to stay out of trouble. And in turn 4, I think me and Brad touched some wheels, and I'm like, okay, I need have some space here just to be safe. But yeah, when I got through Devin, I knew I just needed to keep it all together and stay on the black stuff, and as I did that, so super chuffed.
Well, he should be super chuffed. Keagan Masters gets another one for the trophy cabinet. Be overflowing after this year, and there's the celebrations on the Sasol GTC podium. Well, there's one race left in an amazing season. Who will win? It's coming your way next.
Having won the Polo Cup title in 2017 for Signature Motorsport, Devon Robertson has been a competitive addition to the GTC2 field this year. And with Brad Liebenberg, his teammate, they've been a formidable duo against the factory Volkswagen team.
The biggest reason that we've been able to take the fight to Keagan this season is because we have to learn from each other. So Brad is basically my second brother at the racetrack. I mean, we talk on track, off track. We respect each other for who we are. We are very good racing drivers in that we have both won multiple South African championships. I respect him, he respects me. We give each other space on the track. It's absolutely awesome to race each other.
And it was on the Eastern Cape that the multiple national champion found his feet, winning his 2 races across East London and Port Elizabeth and amassing 8 podium finishes heading into the finale at Zwartkops. An impressive debut season.
The PE race, we literally stopped. Keegs, has to go down to East London, where we were both like, we're not going to let each other win. Either way, it's win or to win. It's around the outside, through the inside, over the grass, and it was an absolutely awesome race as well. He's proven this year that he's just been the better driver, had a car that's worked with his specific driving style. But I mean, I'm pretty happy with the second place that we finished. We've given the team a very good, how can I say to you, we've given it our all, the team's given it their all. And I think we've given a pretty decent account for ourselves as a team and as a driver. It's been a great season so far. We've had a few ups and downs, but I mean, that's part of racing. And I've enjoyed every moment of it.
Heavy clouds over Zwartkops Raceway as we get set for the final race of the 2018 season. And we come to you under red flag conditions. It's been a dramatic start to this one. Here's what happened. We'll break it down for you. So Johan Fourie went from pole position in the reverse grid race. He and Daniel Rowe fighting for 4th in the championship, going wheel to wheel up into turn 2. The bump and grind already started. Bonafide into Simon Moss as they went wheel to wheel through that corner. They're fighting over 2nd in the standings. Then the run up the hill through turn 4 and into turn 5. This a critical moment. Johan Fourie through okay. So too the Volkswagen. But in the background, that's a Sasol BMW off the road and bunkered in the sand. This shows you what happened on board with Gennaro Bonafide. Loses the rear of the car and spears off, making heavy contact into the tyre bundles. This is the shot that shows it all. Simon Moss locked up under the rear wing. Contact, and Bonafide spun around and out of the motor race. Big damage to the Sasol BMW. He was able to drive out, but internally it looked much, much worse than it looks on screen there. So that was championship over for Gennaro Bonafide, and the damage to the track, to the wall, and indeed the debris over the circuit meant that we had to bring out the red flag. The race was suspended. VM Innovations did everything they can to try and get Bonafide out, but it was to no avail. And Simon Moss debriefing with the team to give his opinion on what happened. So, it's the second time it's happened this year. We're under red flag, and the volunteer officials here at Zwartkops doing a terrific job getting things fixed up so we can go racing for 10 laps. We'll do it again once more with feeling this year and see Johan Ferré and Daniel Rowe in the front row of the group with Matty Hodges and Robbie Walt next. Gennaro Bonafide was due to go from 5th but will not start this one. Adrian Wood starts from pole in GTC 2. Trevor Bland is alongside him. They're both looking for wins this season. Liebenberg and Smallberger next. Then Devon Robertson, Keagan Masters, Neil and Hill rounding out the GTC 2 field. So here we go. The final race, the 18th of a truly remarkable season. We've traversed the nation, putting on some of the best motor racing you'll ever see. Let's do it one more time. 10 laps in the books. We're away at Zwartkops in the decider for 2018. And Johan Ferré, it's a carbon copy of the first start of this race. Car number 14 leads them up the hill into 2. Volkswagen down the inside. Daniel Rowe, that's Robert Walt getting the elbows out, squeezing Matt Hodges wide and holding on to 3rd place. And Michael Stephen in front of his teammate. Those two Audis working their way from the back of the Sasol GTC field. There's Adrian Wood, has got an early lead in GTC 2 as they head towards turn 4 and up the hill to 5 where all the drama unfolded. Gee, that's a bit interesting. They were 3 wide there in GTC 2. Now there's a lot of debris and oil dry on the circuit there. Conditions will be very, very difficult for the opening couple of laps while that gets cleared up by the cars going through it. Review, Michael Stephen has got himself a Sasol BMW in front. Not the one he'd be accustomed to though. It's Robert Walk who's 3rd. Daniel Rowe next. Now there is a little subplot in this championship story that we've been following all weekend, in that Daniel Rowe and Johan Ferré are fighting over 4th and 5th place in the standings. Now they'd both much rather be inside the top 3 or even further up, but still, every position always counts. Stephen down the inside, so that's 3rd already. Johan Ferré looking in his mirror going, are you serious? How quickly do these things work their way through the field? This is on board with the newly crowned 3-time champion. It will become official once this race is completed. That was a nice clean move at turn 2. Here's Johan Ferré. Good margin, great cold tyre pace early on, building that gap. And Stephen in front of Daniel Rowe for 2nd. And this is a freight train now as Simon Moss looks up the inside of Robert Walk. Gives him a little bit of a nudge, moves him wide, but can't work his way through yet. Robbie's got the racing line. Moss with all 4 wheels off the road, but somehow manages to hold on to it. That was an exciting little moment there. Of course, the side effect of Bonafide watching this one from the sidelines is that Simon Moss will lock up 2nd place in the championship and deliver Terry Moss's team a 1-2 result in the standings. Hodges, a little bit of Morse code on the back of Robbie Walk's rear bumper bar as they go through turn 2. Feisty couple of laps. Moss trying to work his way through the field but hasn't been able to cut his way through like a hot knife through butter that Michael Stephen makes it look like every time it seems he has to go from the back of the field. Remember, it was key to him winning the championship last year. His reverse grid races were so unbelievably good. Here's Keagan Masters. Championship pressure now released as well for this guy as he works the back of Charles Smallberger. Adrian Wood pulling a little margin over Trevor Bland now. Then it's Bradley Liebenberg in the Ferrodo car. There's his teammate Devon Robertson behind. And Charles Smallberger, the meat in the sandwich here with Keagan Masters, the champ, just behind them. Leaders 1 and 2. That's the gap back to Daniel Rowe. Robert Walk with a couple of wheels off in the exit of turn 1. He'll get his Dunlop tyres nice and dirty, and Simon Moss now looks down the inside and gets down the inside of Matt Hodges. Overtake done. And I wonder if this just led to all of that happening, because Robert Walk was slow at the exit of 1. Hodges barreled into the corner at 2. Ran wide, went a little bit too deep there, had a big slide mid-corner, and that opened the door for car number 38 to slide his way through. Lap 4 of 10. Time flies when you're having fun. That's what these guys are doing at the end of a really tough championship campaign. And this is more of what we've become used to in GTC2, which is just a freight train of the entire field locked together. And Smallberger, the CRC sponsorship on his car, Lee Thompson Racing, have done a terrific job this year. Wow, Keagan Masters this time with all 4 off in the dirt. They're pushing the limits in the final race of the year. Probably know they've got a full off-season to patch things up if they need to. The old end of school feeling, the end of a great championship campaign. What about Adrian Wood? This has been a terrific drive so far as they get to half race distance. We'll come back to that, because that is the move of a champion. Keagan Masters, he sent that from a long way back. And full credit to Smallberger, who gave him racing room, and he's now going to try and fight back down the inside at 1, but couldn't get through. Check this out. Smallberger was defending, but he went, no, do you know what? I'm going to go anyway. And through to 4th place goes Keagan Masters. That was huge. Such commitment. And now Smallberger's under pressure from Devon Robinson, who's had a really good rookie season. Very experienced guy, but first time in GTC2 in the heat of competition. So the battle is now on for the race lead. Johan Ferrari looking for his 2nd race win of the season. He was a winner at East London, the amazing East London GP track earlier on this year. It's been his only win of what's been a very frustrating season. Mechanical dramas from race 1 have been fixed. The drama now is that he's got the 3-time champion locked underneath his rear wing. And let's see where Mike makes the move, if he can make the move. Because Johan Ferrari is vastly experienced. Bit of a slide there into turn 2. These are the 2 most experienced drivers in the field. The 2 most successful drivers in the field. National champions, the 2 of them, multiple times over. It's always a great display when these 2 get together on the racetrack. I think Johan Ferrari would hope that it was a more regular occurrence this year. Deep down, he knows that he's got what it takes to beat Michael Stephen. He's got that experience. The EPS Couriers team just missed the window a little bit this year in terms of their raw speed. Wow, busy once again. Simon Moss looks down the inside of Robert Walk. They were hip and shoulder through turn 5 and through turn 6, and Moss finally goes through. That was a battle that started on the opening lap and now torches a Dunlop tyre into the final corner, but gets it stopped. The team from the Engine Audi outfit watching on, that's his dad there, left of screen with the grey hat on. Terry Moss watching his boy go to work. Bit of a hit, he was going, what was going on? Well, Simon, you were the one up the inside, mate. Not much you can wave about there. In the end, got the pass done. It was a nice move. And was well and truly alongside by the time he made that move. So there's nothing in that great pass. Good, hard touring car racing. It's what we want to see. And to be honest, it's what we've seen all season long. So Johan is holding on. Ferrari holds out Stephen. Daniel Rowe continues to maintain 3rd place. Walk's got a great run through the kink at turn 4, uses a bit of the grass on the inside and retakes the position from Simon Moss. Well, this is great racing from Robbie Walk. We haven't seen a lot of this year. He hasn't had the opportunity to display the talent he's got. The graduate from open wheel racing, very successful in wings and slicks competition. Finally getting the elbows out the final race of the year and showing what he's got. That was a really good pass. He's not going down without a fight. The gap between Adrian Wood and Trevor Bland has closed in. The nervous thing for everyone, though, is that Keagan Masters continues his march forward. He's passed Devon Robertson, is now 3rd in class. The Volkswagens are 1, 2 and 3. Great pressure at the front. We'll see if Keagan can work his way forward. So the factory cars are 1 and 3. The privateer runner, Trevor Bland, is always so fun to watch racing. Privateer runner, he and Charles Smallberger in particular in their Volkswagens have done such a good job this year. Scoring manufacturer points as well. Stephen now looks down the inside. This for the race lead. Easy as you like. The champion goes through. Great run out of turn 3, through turn 4. They negotiate Bob Neal and Michael Stephen from the back to the front once again. The way that car gets into slow corners is impressive. I think the way it gets out of it is even more so. Here's a look through the long sweeper. He got the good toe from Johan Ferree, who covered his line, but there's only so much you can do when your car's loaded up on the left-hand side through a 200 km/h corner. There's only so much defending you can do there. And that was all it took for Michael Stephen to send one up the inside and grab the race lead. There are 2 laps remaining in the season. And aptly so, the champion finds himself back in front. No further forward progress here for Keagan Masters. Can he try and get one more? Get himself back to second place. Working hard on the back of Trevor Bland's car. Trevor struggling qualifying this year. Didn't qualify in the top 3 all season. He's had 3 second place finishes this season though, so strong consistency in the Comcare car, but hasn't been able to crack it for a race win yet. Maybe this race is the opportunity. He's got 2 laps to try and find his way past Adrian Wood, who leads the race. The young guy who jumped aboard the factory Volkswagen team this year. Sponsorship from Kyocera, is yet to win a race. It's been a good season. He's been on the podium multiple times this year, but yet to win. How apt would it be if he can do it in the final race of the season? 1 lap to go, 2.4 Ks. Daniel Rowe falling back into the clutches now of Robert Walk, who's having a terrific race with great speed in his Sasol BMW. This will lock Johan Ferree into 4th place in the championship if things stay as they are. Has Walk got one more pass to make though? It's been a much, much better year for the factory Volkswagen team as well. Leaders go through. Then we go back to this fight for 3rd. Can Robbie get himself onto the podium in the final race? Well, he's got very good drive out of the right-hand corner. It'll be enough for him to get up the inside. Yes, it is. Good pass. Best race of the year for car 41. Rowe's not done with yet, though. This is the fight we've seen from him all year. No, he's got into Walk and turns him round. Well, the championship ends for Robbie Walk, pointing in the wrong direction. He's shown what he's had all season, though. And a great drive for car 41 comes to an end. Car number 1, though, the champion ends it with a victory. Michael Stephen caps off a truly remarkable season in the best possible way. Well, we need to take another look at that. It was a great fight. Walk went up the inside, fair pass, ran a little bit wide. Rowe with the over-under probably wasn't far enough down the inside, you'd think. Robert Walk came across, the door was shut, the BMW was spun, the Volkswagen continued on. And back now to GTC2 for the final time this year as well. Adrian Wood, I think he's got this, you know. I think he's got enough of a margin over Trevor Bland. The Volkswagens will be 1, 2 and 3. The Minis have had nothing for them this weekend at a track where they're traditionally strong. But after an up and down season, a big crash earlier on this season, but what a response for Adrian Wood. The consistency came through the midpoint of the year. And in the Kyocera car, he's going to break through for his first race win of the championship. It comes in the final race of the year. Well done, Adrian Wood. He's a winner in GTC2, and isn't he happy about that? Well done, Adrian. A great drive under pretty relentless pressure, it must be said, throughout the 10-lap journey. Had to survive the race restart to do it as well. Did it from pole position. It's a win for Adrian Wood, the first of the season for the Volkswagen driver. And what about some celebrations? He's done this enough to get them right. smoke up the Dunlop tyres and celebrate becoming the Sasol GTC champion for the third time. Well done, Michael Stephen. One day they'll write a book with enough superlatives to describe the season and indeed the career that this guy has had. At 37, he just makes winning a habit. So Keagan Masters wraps up GTC 2. Well done to the mini team, second and third in the championship. And Trevor Bland, fourth in the standings by a single point right at the very end. And that's how it played out in Sasol GTC. A 1-2 for the Engen Audi team with Gennaro Bonafide in third.
Johan Fourie, it's been a while since we've seen you on the podium. You had a good fight there with Michael, just couldn't keep him behind you.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a bit. At least the car was going whole race long, so pushed hard in the beginning, and I was just a little bit shocked when I saw the Audi up into third position already on the second lap. I go, jeez, man, because I knew if the other guys were dicing, I could have pulled a gap. Still tried to pull a gap and save my push to pass because we only had 3 laps without push to pass, so I went for it and then used it, and then at the next moment Michael was with me. I couldn't believe it, so just passed me, and then once he got past me, I just wanted to see where he was quicker, but it's just everywhere a little bit. There's no big gains, but I just think he's very strong in the brakes at 5 and 6, but all in all, I think it's a good result for the end of the year. After a torrent bit of a season and torrent race at the track, and we need to come back, and I can't have a season like this. We win a race. You know you can't win all the races, but at least be in the race all the time and at least do laps and just be competitive. So at the moment we need to work on that, and I think we've got a long off-season before the first race, so hopefully we can get everything, all the ducks in a row and come back fighting.
You definitely deserve to be up there, so we hope we do see you in 2019.
Yeah, great. Thanks, man. All the best.
Simon Moss, not a podium finish for race 2, but at least you and Mike have got 1-2 in the championship for Engen Audi. Well done.
Yeah, no, it's been a long season. Luckily, we got a 1-2 for the team. The last heat was a little bit of chaos. Didn't want it to end like it did, but it's happened like that. And coming into the last heat, we were lucky we were fast this weekend, and we extended our lead on Gennaro coming into the last race, which made it a lot easier as well. Unfortunately, we'll just have to look at some footage about the last heat, but in the GTC, we've got the rules that when the car in close proximity inside lines is, you've got to move over, leave a car length. There wasn't even a car length there, and it is what it is, and we'll take it from there.
It would have been great to see both you and Gennaro fighting out for that second position, though.
Yes, no, it will definitely be great. It would have been great. We must just have a look at the footage and see. I think maybe put a wheel off or something. We'll just have to look at that.
You may need to give him a bit of time before you go and talk to him. Well done, though, on the finish.
No, Jill, we chilled.
Adrian Wood, congratulations. We can officially call you a race winner in GTC 2. Are you relieved or more excited?
I think a bit of both. Obviously, we had quite a tough day yesterday. Obviously, the team did a fantastic job. They did an engine change. Went into this morning not feeling too confident, I will be honest. First race didn't go as planned, but the second race was just, the car was on rails, everything was perfect. The team have done a fantastic job, and I think this is the best way I could have repaid them. Now it's time to celebrate.
You've been consistently improving across the year, particularly getting these podium positions and also some strong qualifying results as well. How do you feel now finishing your first season in GTC 2?
Well, look, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride. Obviously, the first race of the year, we started off very strong with strong qualifying and stuff. I then obviously made that mistake. And from then, it's just been focusing on turning our season around. Myself, I've been learning a lot. Massive thanks to Graham. Without him, obviously, he goes through all data, everything with us. He's been helping me improve every time I go out. Chris, my engineer, fantastic work. And without them, this couldn't have been possible.
All right, well done. Enjoy that champagne spray.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure he will. Well done, Adrian Wood. Well done, Keagan Masters. He's the champion GTC 2. Michael Stephen has done it again in Sasol GTC. For the entire team, we'll see you next year. Goodbye.
For money and power, glory and